What's up, fight fans? And we are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin, and we have an amazing show for you today. Let's talk about all the fights that are upcoming right now. Pro Box got some boxing matches. I was going to sit back and watch a little bit of that, talk to you guys in the chat. Let me know what you think about some of these fights and top topics. So, all that and more. So, let's get right to this show. What's up, fight fans? There's a lot to talk about. I'm gonna let you guys start joining the chat. Let me know where you're joining from. Let me get a R1. Let me know that you could hear me loud and clear and that the sound effects, in fact, sound great. Where do all fights start? Round one. So like I said, Pro Box got some fights going on right now. I was checking out some of the fights, some of the action, making sure that my pop up blocks my screen so that I don't get a band here. Okay. And I also turned down the volume. But it looks like these guys are going at it right here. Martinez. Oh, nice body shot. Oh, he almost slipped. Oh, he looked like he tweaked something. Oh, no, no, no. I guess he just lost his footing. So that fight is going on. You can check that out at Pro Box right now. That's going on live. Let a couple of you start joining the live stream in the chat. Let me get a like when you get in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As always, we got a lot of things going on. And be part of the action here when we kick off the Notre Dame's uh, contest, where you can join us here at Round One Sports Talk as the fights are streaming. I'm gonna be watching them live as you are, perhaps, and we can call the round and the opponent that you think is going to win the fight. And if you are successful in doing so, you will be awarded the Notre Dame's world title here at Round One Sports Talk, and you will be acknowledged as an individual that knows boxing, obviously, because you're calling these fights, right? So look at Terrence Crawford in attendance. Terrence Crawford taking in the festivities at Pro Boxing. He's always a student of the sport. You know, seeing him there at an event like this, really shows that he's backing. He's probably there to back up one of his guys. Um, I'll turn up the volume and get more onto the. I'm just um talking about his appearance at the match, and I think he knows one of the guys or something. But yeah, he's at one of the matches now, so that's good to see. What's up, Bam Bam? How you doing in the night? Join us. Yeah, I mean, haven't seen you in a while. Where you been? You know, working with someone else? Let me find out. Yo, what's up? Supporter of boxing. How you doing? What's up? Oh yeah, they're from his stable. Terrence Crawford. Yeah, that's why he's at the fight over there. Andy Cruz is there too. Yeah. Um, his Bud is starting to, as you can see, as he gets older in his career, he's starting to transition in the sport where it's starting to see that perhaps he might go into coaching or somewhat promoting of fighters. You know, he might take on a couple hats in the sport. He's always lending a hand up to the new guys coming up and the current guys as well as Shakur Stevens. You know, Lawrence Crawford is a unselfish fighter. Well, that he'll teach you his secrets. He'll teach you what it takes to win. You know, if he sees talent in you, or not, if he sees that you're a hard worker, you might not have all the talent in the world. Terrence will mess with you. You know, and he's starting to get him and Bomac, you know, his coach. They're taking in more fighters throughout the years, and you could see it. You could see it. It's apparent. You know, look at you guys even know these fighters are from his stable. Bomac is training a few fighters, so you could see where he's making that transition. You know, he's got a few fights left. Um, there's no more for Terrence Crawford to accomplish, really. You know, there's another I'm sure there's more accomplishments out there that he can chase. The the first man to successfully win all four belts in three separate weight divisions. Yeah, that's out there. Another weight division up there, potentially beating Saul if he was to get by Edgar Berlanga, because we can't talk about that fight until Saul gets out of this fight. That would be overlooking Edgar Berlanga. You see, so but Terrence doesn't. Yeah, I can blatantly see it. You know, he loves the sport. This is his life. And when I talk about this, about these fighters, guys, listen. And I'm serious when I mean this. Okay, some fighters' careers, their career, their body of work, what is taking them a lifetime to achieve, is no different than a rocket scientist that works for NASA, a genius. This is their genius in the ring. That NASA scientist guy, how would he do in the ring? He'd get creamed, wouldn't he? But you take that boxer and you put him in that room with all them rocket scientists, what's going to happen? He's going to get creamed. He ain't going to know how to do nothing, right? Okay. So that speaks that these are their both profession. But make no mistake, they dedicated their life to it. And when you have a man, right, like Saul Canelo Alvarez and of the worlds and the Terrence Crawfords and the Naoya Inoue, right? These guys have put together some impressive careers so that the men and women that are coming up behind them can look to see how high the bar is set. So Terrence Crawford has things in front of him that he can, yes, potentially go after. But he's done it all. He's done it all. And just like Conor McGregor in the UFC, you guys remember, or if you're aware of him, Conor McGregor was a UFC fighter that came into the UFC and was the first man to unify two belts in two separate weight divisions simultaneously. Once he did it, other fighters were like, "Oh, I never thought of it. I never thought to do that." And they started going after it, right? Okay, that's what Terrence Crawford did. Whether or not other fighters had that on their sights, like Naoya Inoue, because he was already close when Terrence executed. He was well on his way. He had already conquered one weight division and had two belts by the time he did it. So he was two belts away from doing it the first, and then in actuality, I'm gonna bring back a memory. In actuality, Naoya Inoue was going to get cheated out of the opportunity being the second man because Jermel Charlo stepped in the ring with Saul Canelo Alvarez, and he had an opportunity being an eight belt holder for like 10 seconds, by law. They would have gave him credit for it for the win, but in the WBO structure, in their rule structure, it says you cannot occupy two WBO world titles simultaneously in no weight division. You can't do it. There's a Japanese fighter. I cannot pronounce his name. I know who he is. I just rather not say his name to butcher it, right? And if you would like, you could look it up. Japanese fighter, four-time WBO four division belt holder. Yeah, and every time he won a WBO in the adjacent weight division, they stripped him immediately of the other one. And those are the rules. So you can never technically have eight belts. They were acknowledging the night, and he was stripped immediately after with the WBO, and they gave it to Tim Tszyu, right? So they were going to strip him of that belt anyway, right? But for the night, had he pulled off a miracle home run, right? And this is what I speak of, right? This feat was so impossible to do that Saul knew he was going to win so much in that fight. Who the hell gives you an opportunity at their four belts, you having four belts, the only person in the ring that stands to achieve greatness is you? Because according to me, you're fighting me for my four belts. That just be title defenses. That's it. I'll get a title defense on all four of my belts. But that's all I stand to gain. You stand to gain legacy status. Eight belts. Who's going to give you an opportunity at that? The prize was when you know the expression when it says it's too good to be true? That's exactly what that was. He was making him jump up two weight divisions to jump up to come fight him. It was a ridiculous look. You were asking a lot, and then all the criticism that Jamel Charlo got for that, no one even gave him the benefit of the doubt for trying. They didn't know how damn near impossible that was to do. And then for him to move like himself at 154, it wasn't going to happen, man. That shit was not going to happen like that. And that's why Saul Canelo Alvarez gave him an opportunity like that. It was so far fetched. You don't do that. What did Saul Canelo Alvarez stand to gain on that night? Title defense? He beat a way smaller guy? Criticism? It was just, no one's going to do that. So, although there are accomplishments that Terrence can go after, I think that for the most part, he's pretty much happy with his career. I think that no matter what, you can't take that away from him. He was the first man, and he's gonna go down in the record book as the first man to do so. That's it. They could be four or five other guys. Yeah, you're gonna be on the list, but he was the first. Now, Naoya Inoue stands to be the first man to do it in three. Because of the fact that he wasn't able to beat Mr. Terrence Crawford to that goal, he might see what Terrence Crawford's next moves are. His next two fights, or even if he has two fights, what if he doesn't decide to fight anymore if he doesn't get what he wants right now? What if he takes one fight and hangs up the gloves, calls it a career? So that's where we would have to see. And then from there, remember, while you're calculating these imaginary two fights for Terrence Crawford, you would also have to calculate the imaginary 3 to 4 or 5 fights that it would take Terrence Crawford to put together two fights. Naoya Inoue would have about 5 fights in, 4 or 5 fights at least. He's fighting 3 times a year. Terrence is barely fighting. He just fought twice. So his activity has increased in the past few 5 years. So that's 2 times, but he's not fighting 3 times a year. That's a fact, right? So, we'll see in his activity. It depends on Terrence Crawford's activity. How long is it going to take him to put 2 fights together? You know, and I'm going by his track record in the last 5, 6 years. That's what I'm basing it on. And the 5 years previous to these last 2 fights, he fought once every year. So, and Inoue he's fighting 3 times a year, bro. He'll try to get in 4 fights if he could. It's just he's running out of names on the list, on the hit list. He really does need to move up to 126. It's a dangerous move, as we see that many fighters that have tried to move up this many weight divisions because we're all judging Naoya Inoue for this weight division to move up, and we're saying, oh yeah, yeah, it's not that far of a jump, 4 pounds, you know, this, that, and the third, right? But we're not remembering that he came up from 108. Initially, he was a 108-pound fighter. He moved up all the way from throughout those weight divisions. It's actually 5 weight division. He jumped over one, or he would have already been a 5 division world champion at 122 had he won a belt in every weight division. By not skipping one over, he would have 5 divisions as of right now. Yes, he would. I guess he made it a little harder on himself by jumping that weight division and not stopping there, grabbing a belt, and then moving on. All these things young in your career, you can't figure that, this is what you were going to be chasing. You would have had, they would have asked you, hey, you think you're going to, oh, yeah, you're going to say, yeah, right? But did you honestly believe it? Did he honestly believe he was going to become this kind of champion? I don't think so. So when you made some certain moves, when he looks back, he's gonna be like, man, I could have did this, I could have did that. And that happens to everybody. No one's perfect. Well, he's almost perfect. I tell you that much. He's 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 the closest we got. And although some people will criticize him for being knocked down against Luis Pantera Nari, right? Which is cap, right? Because you're in a fight, and at any point in time, you can get knocked down. All the greats have been knocked down. Even Terrence Crawford, you were knocked down in that fight. They didn't count it, right? But hey, they didn't count it, right? But I'm not going to use Terrence Crawford to make my point for Inoue, right? The bottom line is he's still a phenomenal fighter, if not the best fighter we have today. Stylistically, power wise, mobility, speed, power, and strength. He's got the complete package. He's got an ill gas tank. I've never seen him tired in a fight. Have you ever seen Naoya Inoue gassed out in a fight? He's, if he was gassed out, you had to be gassed out too, because he was definitely pushing the pace at a level where now both of you were that exhausted. It wasn't like one person was gassed out and the other one was still looking fresh. That's a different scenario. If you're both dripping sweat, breathing heavily, and you're both doing that, that means then that the action and the pace of the fight was intense and it was at a high pace. That's a different scenario than gassing out. I'm talking about gassing out in the third, fourth, fifth round, and you already like your technique. It's showing in your technique. It's starting to fall apart. That's gassing out. I've never seen him like that. He's a complete package. He really is. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Ah. he has a broken thumb for the for the Twitter beef. Uh well, I mean, shit happens, man. I heard all about it, and I was like, what can you do? Shit. I mean, I'm not gonna lie here and act like that's not a possibility. And yeah, like I like shit. But when Shakur broke his hand in that fight, right? Remember when he broke his hand? He had the surgery on his hand, and then like after the fight, you know, they saw him with like the cast and all that shit, and and he complained about his hand injury. So I think that hand sometimes fighters, boxers, we allow injuries to kind of accumulate, right? And we don't address them right away sometimes. And you know your hand was either fractured or twisted, busted up a little bit, and you gave it a couple days or whatever, and it started feeling better. And you were hitting and it wasn't giving you any problems, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was fixed. Then you can go out there, hit a guy wrong, re-injure your hand, and then you're thinking the same thing. Oh, I'll just put it in ice, I'll be fine, right? And these are a lot of injuries that start to accumulate over time, and then just one time at a wrong angle, and you pay the price. And now it's serious. Now it broke wider, longer. There's all sorts of things that could happen. You could chip a bone, it could fragment, all kinds of bad injuries off of injuries that you really don't take care of because you're in your quest of and wanting to pursue to be great and better and keep going and not being a baby about every bump you get. You're trying to be a tough guy too and have this image. I could do this. That I've known that to be facts in gym. You know, I and if you pay attention enough, you know that like last month, freaking Hector here hit the bag, pow, and was like, complaining about his hand. Then a month later or whatever, he breaks his hand and you put two and two together and you realize his hand was breaking. He just kept going. So a lot of these injuries, yeah, But uh Shakur, man, what can I say? What can I say, man? Tank Davis too. Tank Davis too. Now, one of my subscribers said about Tank that he can still fight Ryo for the 140-pound championship of the world. And that is true. That is true. But I don't think Tank wants the responsibility of taking on the belt at 140, then have to defend or vacate the belt. I don't really believe in my heart to heart that Tank wants to pudge himself back up, have no more abs again, be real blimped up. Did you see what he looked like against Mario Barrio? And in fact, if you didn't, go see his little blip. He looked like a hamster that was hiding all his food in his cheeks. Tank was like this. He was yo, he was round. His whole body was round. Yeah, he barely got off for that backflip. Yo, he didn't get a lot of elevation that day. No, he didn't. Um, and he had all that the big ass shorts with all the strings on them. They were yellow and white, I think it was. I can still picture him in my head. I remember when I saw him entering the ring against Mario Barrio, I was like, "Damn, Tank, you fat as hell." Oh, I was like, "You don't belong here." But Tank is a special athlete. He truly is. He doesn't get enough credit for that, right? Him blown up like that, no abs, face this big, right? He didn't miss a beat. Not a beat. He was still quick. His twitch like movements, his footwork was, he's never had the best footwork, but it held up all night, right? That they blimped him up where that he was supposed to be slower. He was supposed to be less and then gas out because he's so fat, not moving in that weight. He should have gassed out. He's an amazing athlete, Tank. He doesn't get a lot of credit for some of that shit. He really don't. Because when you blimped up some of these other fighters, they couldn't do that. They could not do that. No, they can't. And Tank's 5'5", by the way, fighting at 140 with guys that are, bro, 6'1", you know. Look at Espinoza. He's 6'1" at 126. I know that's an exception, but he's still there at 6'1", 126. Damn, right? So imagine how tall the guys are at 140. How big are they? Tank's 5'5", man. How much longer do you want him to push his limits just because you say it and it rolls off the tip of your tongue? Oh, he could go to 140 and fight anybody. Really? Just because you say so. Just because you say so. Bro, Tank can make the weight at 140, but what is he going to enter the ring at? What is the other guy going to enter the ring? A natural 140 pounder. Come on, man. You guys are not being realistic. Yeah, Tank got the skills to beat some 140 pounders. Yes, Isaac Pitbull Cruz proved that. Men like Sweepy Pernell Whitaker proved that. You can do it, but you're not going to be able to beat the best of the best of the best that that division has to offer. No. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now, right? Liam Paro will give Tank a problem. He's big. He's big for 140, right? Not only Liam Paro, right? A Subriel Matias is a better version of Isa Pitbull Cruz. A much taller, durable, and a bigger fighter, a heavier punch, but same pressure fighter as Isa Pitbull Cruz. And you guys seen what happened in that ring with Tank Davis. Now, that's like giving Isa Pitbull Cruz Subriel Matias height. He'd just turn right into him. That's what would happen. And Subriel killed a man in the ring by bludgeoning him in the head. He can punch hard. I'm Teofimo Lopez will give Tank a good fight. He's real big for that division. Teo. Devin's small for the division, as you can see when he walked in with Ryan. Ryan was huge. Devin's a small 140 pounder, so they gotta watch how they walk Devin around, right? I don't know, man. I don't think Tank belongs up there. I don't even think he belongs at 135, to be honest. I think he's a natural 130 pounder, to be to be honest with you. That's where he should have been. That's where he should have stayed. He only moved up because of the big names. Because at the time they were like the four horsemen, and he moved up. Tank moved up because Devin Haney was there, Loma was there, Teofimo Lopez was there, Ryan was there. So when Tank went there, the room everything got better. And check that out, right? In the pursuit to get bigger names for Tank Davis, he left 130 to pursue the bigger names, the bigger money fights, right? He never actually got those fights. He got the bag, but he never actually got those fights. And for pursuing after them to get those fights, he never really did get all the belts. He lost one belt on the scale at 130, right? Then he won another belt at 130. What did he win at 130? What did he win? He won the WBA, right? And I think he won the IBF at 130. It's still only counted as one belt because that's one weight division, right? And when you could have four belts in one weight division, but that's still only one weight division. So to make things less complicated, like we say, Mayweather has five belts. He has five weight divisions, five belts. That's it. Makes the math less complicated. They stroke their egos when they want to be like, I got 25 belts, 26 world titles. Here they all are. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you do because every title defense, that's a new belt. et cetera, et cetera. Yes. But as far as making it less complicated, Tank Davis has 2 belts right now. The Japanese superstar has 4 belts right now. Terrence Crawford has 4 belts. Um, you see how it goes? You know what I mean? He actually has 4 in 1 weight division, but it's only 1 weight division, 1 belt. You can only count that one time. That's it. Mhm. Yeah. So definitely, like, these are some of the things in boxing that occur and, with these belts and stuff, just to get an understanding of how some of these things are. Now, there's another interesting thing that's going on with belts right now in particular, and it has to do with whether or not Devin Haney, in fact, is going to fight um, Liam Paro in Australia. Now, one of my friends was on his podcast today. He does two Blue Blood Sports, right? And he was talking to Nonito Donaire's wife that was actually on the show. I checked it out, and I was checking out the show, right? So they were talking about the situation. And although, I don't know if she knew all the ins and outs to it, right? Or the story was presented to her correct, right? I mean, it was brought to her correct. Yes, I don't mean to say it like that. No. It was definitely brought to her and she answered the question, but I think that the question they were trying to get to was, or that they should have, was the fact that Devin Haney is the champion in recess, right? And there's rules, right? But she's right. She was right about everything she said about the WBC entering the agreement. But because of the fact that he's the champion in recess, that activates as a unification. Though he doesn't have acts, full title recognition, he is acknowledged as a part of having a piece of a world championship, right? And through that, through the rules of unification, he doesn't have to obey by the 10-pound rehydration clause from the IBF. That means that Devin Haney can come in, make weight, and then weigh in whatever he wants after that. There will be no 10-pound rehydration clause. And that's a loophole in the belt. It rarely ever happened in sports. I think it happened. That would be a nice fun fact to look up. When has that situation ever occurred and who's the last person to utilize it? But it's there, it's in the rules. It 100% is. And he can use that if Liam Paro is not careful. Listen, guys, I've been around for a little while. I've seen some shady shit. I've been around world champions. Jose Rivera, the Camachito that does the show with me on Sunday. You guys know this if you guys been watching me. He was, in fact, my brother's roommate. He was a world champion. He has 3 world championships. His promoter was Don King. So I learned a lot about title defenses, talking with them, and him sharing his experience in the ring and sitting back and watching them, throughout their things and coaches talk about situation. And I've been in a lot of talk, right? And I'm gonna tell you right now that I think people forget that all 4 major sanctioning bodies do not obey by the same rule structures. Although similar, they are not the same. And although each belt spun off the other belt, which is true, the original belt is the WBA. That's the original belt. I believe the next belt that came out at the time was the WBC, the green one. I believe that was the next belt. Then, of course, the IBF, right? Then it took a long time, many. I really don't know how many years it officially it took for the WBO to be recognized as a world title, and they will allow it in the ring with the rest of the major sanctioning bodies. In which, in fact, the WBC, I believe Bob Arum owns that now. I think he bought the WBC, in fact. That's why he was able to pull off that robbery in Newark and give his fighter the WBC. He owns it now, I think. I believe, yeah, he does. Um, uh, the Suleiman and them, they still run it, the headquarters, everything. But I think that it was rumored that at one time, yeah, I had forgot all about that too. I know that Oscar De La Hoya owns Ringside Magazine. And then I think he might have sold that too to somebody else eventually. But at one point in time, he did own it. And I think Bob Arum actually owns the WBC now. I think that was finalized and official. I remember I never really talked about that on this show neither. It just hit me like right now. I swear to you. Like I was, because I knew something about it. I'm gonna check more into that. If he's like owns the like everything, or like how's it work? Is he a big stockholder or something? I can imagine that. He's got like maybe, you know what I mean? Or does he own it outright? I'll look in more into that. So don't hold me to that because something's telling me that I'm missing something. I might be missing some pieces that I don't know. I don't know. So it's just sometimes I don't want to say the wrong thing and everybody, I thought you said this. You guys are so critical, you know? But yeah, I think it is true. I think it is true. I think Bob Arum does own the WBC. Yeah. I'm gonna look. And like I said, I know that the WBO headquarters is in Puerto Rico. The WBCs was in Mexico, IBF Panama, and then the uh no, the WBA was in Panama, and the IBF is in New Jersey. Yeah, IBF New Jersey, WBA Panama. Right. At once upon a time, that's where they were. A lot of things are subject to change. Money talks, right? You know what I mean? That's how it goes. You can turn on a car with that. Wow. Whew. It didn't put no hair on my chest. That shit burnt the hair off my chest. My chest hair is literally just singed up and shriveled and with that shot, bro. That shit is crazy. Wow. So tell me, guys, before we keep going further, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All right, and please drop them likes. All right, what do you guys want to talk about? Talk to me. Or I wasn't watching the pro box all the way, and I, like tuned down. So I just came into it, and now I see the boxers like taking off the gloves, so the fight's over. I don't know exactly what happened, but this kid is like clapping with his hands up, and the other dude, y'all, he's yeah victorious. Jacob, Jacob Gomes pulled the victory off. Might see some more of that young man. Sometimes you see these young guys coming up, and then like for some reason or another you just stop seeing them, and sometimes life interferes into uh, a boxer's or an athlete's career, and you can be sidetracked, incarcerated, death, shit. the ability not to be able to box and have to support your family and have to take a job and not be able to dedicate yourself to your training, so you have to give it up. There's a lot of situations and a lot of boxers that don't see it through. Not everybody is as fortunate to have all the help that they need. A lot of these boxers, and I believe 100% of all boxers, don't do this journey on their own. It's not like they get out of bed, get up, go train themselves, go with the coach, do everything, eat right, you know what I'm saying? Make no mistakes, don't get a bloated head, back home, train. You need certain people in your life. You need a person basically for different things, just like you got your friends, I guess, in real life, right? I have certain friends for everything. I have a friend I call when I need to talk to serious shit. I got a friend I call that I want to laugh and chill and kick it with. I got other people that I talk real courteous and like I got sense. And I got other people where I can lay back and just chill and let go and let all the F bombs drop. You know, you have people for different things. And in the sport of boxing, not only do you should have a trainer, you kind of should have a mentor. And then you should have that one friend that's always around you to block bullshit. And one dude talking shit, your friend, nah, yo, listen, we don't want none of that, man. Come on. And he's the one that keeps you level headed when you want to, yo, what you say? And no, 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 not today. Not today. That's your friend. That's the one that tells you, nah, let's not go over there. Let's not do this. Nah, let's not drink that. Let's not smoke this. He has your best interests at heart because he sees your potential and he has love for you. And that's you're gonna need a friend like that. You're gonna need a good coach. You're gonna need a good mentor. You know, and then it's up to you to how many distractions you choose to have in your life. You take on a girlfriend? That's a distraction. She wants you, you know how girls are, man. And, the girls are not bad. We need them. I love women, you know what I mean? But she wants to go apple picking or orchard or long walks on the beach holding hands. I don't got time for that shit, man. I don't want to go orchard picking. No. And she wants to come in and have you talk about all this. Like, that could be a distraction to a fighter that's in a sport that boxing is truly a lonely man's sport. Boxing's the kind of sport you shouldn't have homies. No. If you're not talking about boxing, teaching me something about boxing, give me advice about boxing, then go that way. If you're talking about the latest Jordans and what Keisha told Teresa and Tony, and he's popping shit and he's on social media, that's all distractions. If you find yourself answering social media memes, and you really care about what they're saying, like these are all the things that the fighter has to decide. How far does he allow, or what distract? He has to be careful. What's a healthy distraction? Mom calls me. She's a distraction, but that's a healthy one. I need to hear from her. Sometimes I don't want to hear from her, but it's a healthy distraction. If she needs me, what can I do, you know, to be a better son? I ask myself sometimes, we as sons and daughters, sometimes we get selfish and we're like, what did my mom do for me? I could have had a better life if my mom did this or my dad did this. But at a certain point in age, you're responsible for yourself. And then at the flip side to that, what kind of son or daughter are you to your parents? Do you check on them? Do you make sure that they have everything they need? Did they take their medication today? Do you got to stop by and make sure they ate? Whatever situation they're, if they're not that old and you got young parents, have you told them that you love them today? What kind of son are you? And you're always looking at to be mad at your dad. Well, really? Your dad's proud of you? He walks over that's my boy. How do you make him proud? And these are lessons we learn in life. through, like trying to be a better person and putting your perspectives and your priorities in place. If this is the road you chose, if this is the life you chose to pursue to be a boxer, it's truly a lonely man's sport. It really is. And you have to understand that. You can't be surrounded with your boys going to the dice game anymore, or, going to buy bling bling so you could appear in Vegas on the chance that you don't have no fight scheduled. So now in your head it's time to shine. No, that is a mistake. That is a mistake, you know. So I guess it's up to the individual, how they take it, you know. And I believe that I'm an advocator to start teaching our young men and women different ways. And if you had the ability, share this video with one of them, and let them know that, you know, um, if this is the life that you chose to be a fighter, don't play with boxing because you can get hurt. Every punch you take in that ring, make them earn it. Don't give it away. Always protect yourself and always be on the top of your game because no one knows when you can take that fatal punch or you taking an unseen, a big amount of punches throughout your course of your career. You could pay the price for it at the end, like most of them have. Even the great ones, the Mayweathers of the sport, I believe he got hit the fewest. And every now and then you'll see him repeat himself, stutter, lose his train of thought in an interview. When he don't have nothing to say, he yells out team, just money team. Yeah. And you could see that some of those wars did actually affect him. So when you chose this life for yourself, just make sure you know that what you're gonna do. Embrace the warrior's way. Embrace the solitude, the loneliness. For that when if you are successful, you will be able to enjoy your riches. A boxer's career is not that long. Maybe 10 years below, on average. If you're lucky and you get a very successful one and you were able to accumulate wealth that a lot of boxers don't get the opportunity to get, consider yourself fortunate, and then you can indulge on what you made throughout your career, and it's going to even be better because now when you enter the room as a decorated battle tested warrior. And even though you don't got your belts on, they know exactly how many belts you won and exactly who you are with that suit and tie on. Now you could wear that suit and tie. Now you could ball out if you choose to, right? Because your career is done and you have dedicated yourself to it and you never swayed away. And when you look back, you can say, win, lose, or draw, whatever the outcome would have been on that night, you got the best of me. Not looking back saying, oh my God, that whole week I was in Vegas. I was supposed to be training. I had some prostitutes, drugs, this, that, and a third. I flew my homies in. We stood up all night. I didn't train good for that fight. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be telling that part of your story. You could avoid that. You could have this party with your boy, all that, when it's all said and done. When it's all said and done, there'll be time for it. Typically, a boxer retires in his 30s. You think you're like, oh my God, at the time, right? When I first turned 30, I was like, I first turned 30. Like you turn 30 multiple times, right? At least I do. Every year. Every year I turn 30 again. So right? And when you turn 30, you're like, oh my God, I'm so old. Until you realize, shit, my life hasn't even started. It hasn't even started yet. Like now you're going on vacations and experiencing the world. And if you're lucky and fortunate and you did right for yourself, you realize that. So some of these fighters, I believe, we need to teach them a different way and and pass this message on that you know uh there's more to this, you know, than just coming up, getting a paycheck, winning a fight, perhaps winning a belt, and thinking that you arrived, that everything's supposed to be handed to you, and then you can lose it all. You can lose it all. And some men stand to gain it all, like we're gonna about to see with Edgar Berlanga and Saul Canelo Alvarez. I mean, this is such a big opportunity for Edgar Berlanga, but like I've always said about Saul Canelo Alvarez and his team, they're very smart when it comes to picking the right opponent for the dub. They're not stupid, but Edgar Berlanga, his fate is in his hand, in his own hands. How much did he give in the gym? You got to give a piece of yourself to this sport. You really do. This is the type of sport, it takes a piece of your soul. There's a level of dedication and commitment, man, that just training sometime, most men will walk out the gym. I've seen some men give up on boxing because they couldn't hit the speed bag. A speed bag took them out the gym. I've seen some guys get frustrated wrapping their hands. I never seen them again in the gym. Yeah. Sometimes it's way smaller stuff than you think. It's not easy being a fighter, man. It's not easy going in there, and you got to have your shit together, man. You got your family looking at you at some point. Sometimes your city, your boys, your people. Pressure makes pipes, and some people, some fighters, some fighters don't even know that they're being pressured. They're so down with fighting that they they're like, yo, when you went over there to enemy's territory, he was like, so that meant like nothing to the man. And some men would not even take the fight because of fear of going over there. And their fear of doubt of them giving a fair handshake in the fight. And they're like, nah, I won't take the fight. Scared to death. And another guy, it doesn't even register in his head that was even an opportunity, a possibility that he was going to lose, or that they were going to. Nah, he just, yeah, fight. Let's go. It's just, we're all built different. We are all built different. We all respond differently in different situations, you know. So, yeah. Let me see what you guys are saying over here. I haven't had. I was watching the fight a little bit over here. So, thank you, Sonia. Yeah, I wish I could reach out and to a lot of these fighters and stuff, man, and talk to them about some of my pitfalls. In fact, coming up fighting, and some of the mistakes I've made and stuff, and what it's going to take for them. You know, like I said, all these young men and women don't make themselves. They got that right person at that right time to tell them that right thing they needed. Some of these guys were going to quit that same day. They were going to give up on it. And maybe they got that right and turned out to become a world champion. They look back at that moment and say, man, you have no idea. I was going to walk away from everything that day until you said something to me that day that changed and gave me the motivation. And I needed that day to keep going forward, to not worry about what everybody said or what this guy was saying or the situations I was putting myself into. and that's a big one. The situation, recognizing situations you were putting yourself into. Case in point, right? Okay. I was raised in a house with my sisters and brothers. Me and my sister were raised in the same exact house. My sister, um, she ended up going to school and furthering her education and going to college. And I went outside and I started hanging around with the homies, right? And I ended up going a different way and, in fact, dropping out of school, right? When later in life, I was much younger, and they asked me, why do you think you turned out the way you did? And I said, I was a product of my environment. Because when I went outside, this is what everybody was doing. This is what I was doing and stuff. And I didn't have it like they did up in the sticks. So um, the deck was stacked against me. And my sister looked at me and said, "That's bullshit." And I said, Why you say that's bullshit, right?" She goes, "Okay, we were raised in the same house. We came out the same door every day. You chose to go left, and I went right. She went to the library and to the school, and I went to the block. Same house, same parents, two different outcomes." And at that point, I realized it was my choices. I had no one to blame. I wasn't a product of anything. You can live in fucking Iraq and still have a blessed day. It's not your environment. It's you. It's how you be. If you sit down and say, "Man, I don't feel like doing this today," you're saying you don't feel like doing this today. Did you get anything done? No. If you didn't get it done, who's who's driving the car? Who's driving the car? So that sucks when that smacked me in the face. Reality is a mother, responsibility is another. And learning these things and not fighting it, not continuously saying, "No, but this situation, I lived here." No, 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 no. Okay. I see. I see. I chose to go hang out with the homies, smoke the weed, do this, chase the bitches, whatever. I could have been going to school, getting a job, you know, looking to better myself. But I didn't think at the time that was an option because I wasn't interested in those things. I didn't see them because I was seeing something else. I didn't know that I was being misled. And I didn't also understand that I'm a person that's easily distracted. If you can come up, walk up, blah, blah, blah. When I was young, I was easily led and distracted. I didn't have any mentors to tell me otherwise. And even if I did have mentors, I didn't see them. I couldn't see them. I couldn't see the teacher. I couldn't see the mentor that was talking to me. I couldn't hear them. You could sit there for hours talking to me, but I couldn't hear you. I was so corrupted with all these different beliefs and the way I thought that I had to be. Like, I had imaginary beef. Like, me and my boys, and there was a lot of us, four, five, six, seven of us, whatever. We seemed to have this false sense that every day we got up, we knew we were going to fight that day. But we actually didn't have no beef that day with anybody. But we woke up with the sense saying, we going to fight today. And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that I was creating it. I was creating my own, and I was manifesting these events. I was manifesting smoking blunts with this girl over here, getting caught in the projects over here, and fighting with them dude. Because I was calling out for it every day. I would wake up, no money in my pocket when I was 14, and somehow come home with weed, liquor, and money. No job, broke. I don't know how I did it. Every day I would come home with something. And every day I would leave broker than ever. I would look fly as hell. My jeans would be nice and pointed. At that time, we had the pinstripes. Oh, you could take a piece of paper and cut the paper on my line. Oh yeah. Oh, I was sharp, right? So, and I guess looking back, that's what I chose. That's what I chose to do. And life is a mother. So when I look back at this, my dedication to the sport wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I wish I could do it all over again. I would have, you know. Um, but these are the things that some of our young men and women, uh, in order to achieve anything, you have to take accountability for your side of the street. What are you doing? Yeah, your situation can be bad. It could be bad. Trust me. I don't talk about mine because it's nobody's business. And I don't think that saying my situation would, you know, nah, we all have them. Mine's is no worse than yours. Yours is no worse than mine. Just know that I had one and you have one. It's how you handle yours. Mine's is not going to change yours. You got to do that. You see? So these young men and women got to know that this road ain't this path to a warrior's path is not easy. It's not an easy one, and it's not built for the faint of heart. You know, and you really don't need to have all the skills in the world. Um, just the desire to chase boxing, to chase what you want to be. You know, I've seen a lot of men say, "I'm a killer. I'm a fighter." Oh, I think I want to be a dentist. Yeah, I should have went to dentist school or a fireman or a cross guard right now. Anything but a fighter at that point. I've seen that too. You know, but yeah, yeah. I believe that we should like get more connected with these young men and women that are coming up and show them that it's not everything that they see. It's not always the bling bling and all this other stuff. It's a lot of hard work, man. A lot of, heartache, injuries, losing fights over injuries, getting cancellations, dealing with promoters, networks, TVs, you not getting the phone call you want, not understanding why a fight is not put together, your manager telling you, let me take care of it. There's a lot of ins and outs. The game changes as you get better and the higher you go in it. And it seems to be like worse. When you were coming up, you seem to get fights a lot easier. It was quick to get fights. And as you get bigger, more buzz, more popular, star status, they're not easy to book. These fights are not that easy. Especially if you got people flying in, you got to book the venue. People are going to get hotels. The city's going to get money. A lot of players start to come into the equation sometimes, depending how big you are. How much revenue are you bringing? You start bringing that kind of number that can bring those kind of names, like the people that I mentioned, out to recognize you. Now you're doing some big shit. So those kind of fights are not easy. Saul kind of got like his schedule. He seems to fight on certain days on Mexican holidays you know, um, whether or not it's superstition. You know how these athletes can get. Some of these guys will wear the same jock strap and not even wash it through their whole entire professional career because they think they won in that jock strap. And then now they don't want to wash the motherfucker, right? It's like, yo, dude, like, come on, it's 10 years. That jock strap is walking by itself. Right? You never know what they think that is superstition. Athletes are like that. They're funny. A lot of us athletes are real superstitious. And maybe Saul thinks that if he fights on Mexican holidays, that the Mexican spirits um will protect them in the win or something. I don't know. I'm guessing here. This is Don't fact check me on that, right? Okay. I'm just saying that I don't know if he does it because he thinks it's superstitious. I don't know. I'm curious. You know, I know he always claims that it's just a Mexican holiday and he likes fighting on those holidays. But what if it's much more in his head? You know, because I know athletes, man. They'll wear that one hat all season or that one glove when they started hitting good or them one cleats that they caught 3 touchdowns in. They won't take them off. They won't let nobody touch them. They'll think that you're like, yo, athletes are free. Yo, you have no idea how many athletes are superstitious and for the craziest stuff and the things that they come up with to justify why that object is lucky. Yo, I've heard some far fetched and you got to respect it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not because I did that one time. I climbed something and he got mad and like I could see it in his eyes. Like I was like, really? You like catching feelings like that? Like I never did that again. If that's what you believe in, who am I to fucking joke at your little guy with the puffy hair there? What the troll? You know, you remember them little dudes? Some of these guys would have some of those things, or one dice that was cracked that he found on his way walking out of his house, and it happened to be on six. Six was the number of the train that he got that he pulled up to the play, and then he hit six freaking base hits on that day. So that dice obviously was the beginning of the luck. Yo, the way they break it down in their it's crazy. I've heard so many different situations with baseball players, football players. Yo, man, I play all sports. I even play hockey. And if you don't think I was a decent, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't the best hockey player, right? But bro, I was brutal. I was brutal on that floor hockey. I didn't play hockey with the skates. No, I'm not. No, I didn't do that. I played with the little orange ball outside in a tournament for like the neighborhood or whatever. And they got the young men together, and but we were like older too. I was like 15 when I was playing with them. Them white boys were nasty, bro. We couldn't play with them. Yo, they had slap shots that were like out of this world, and the way we beat them, right, in a game, like I think we won a couple games all year, but like the one game we beat them in, like the crowd went crazy and shit, like because we were gonna lose. Um, I was diving in front of their sticks and in front of the ball. I wouldn't let them get them and them trick shots off on us. That's how we smothered them. We didn't let them. That was our whole strategy going into that little hockey thing. They had it that one summer. I never entered it again. Yeah, I didn't know how to play hockey, but I tried all sports, everything. I did it all. I did it all. I do it all, man. I play basketball, football, everything, everything. I've done it all. So I'm just an athletic. Yeah, when I was playing sports and shit. I was an athletic young man and shit. And then these are things I talk about, the pitfalls. Life took a different detour, because some of us just, they didn't know how to get to us. They didn't know how to get our attention as young men. They were mentors and teachers. They just weren't saying the right things. They didn't know how to get a hold of me. Yeah, and I think that's basically and left to my own devices, I filled in the blanks. I basically raised myself like that. Like, yeah, it's crazy. But I see my mistakes and my pitfalls, and maybe one day I can give back to the sport of boxing in many different ways, and maybe some young man or girl would hear me talk, and maybe it would inspire them to tighten up their circle. Start to cut away them friends you can really deal without, and if a friend, when you tell them an advice or you tell them your vision and they shoot your vision down, maybe it was because they're not on your level. Maybe it's because they don't know how to dream big, you know, and they could be the person that's holding you back. And it might hurt, it might bother you or whatever, but you know, if you get there, you maybe they've learned to, and you guys will be friends later. But you got to think about yourself in this world sometimes and establish your world yourself before you can help others. Get yourself in a position where that now you're comfortable so that if you wanted to look back, you can. But how could two people that are drowning help, one another? No, I got to get something, get you from drowning. I'm going to help you, but I don't want to go down with you. Let go of the stone. You got a stone. You're sinking. I'm like, let go of the stone. You're holding on to it. If I grab you, we're both going down. Unless you let go of the stone. Now I got all my faith. Everything I'm doing is riding on you. How did I get here? How did I jeopardize my life? Now, that's situations we do. Sometimes you got to let go of some of them friends. So, fight fans, listen, guys, I wanted to come on and chop it up with you guys. I hope you had an interesting time and you took something from this episode here at Round One Sports Talk. Please don't forget to smash that like button. Sure. Thank you for sticking around hearing me talk. Anybody that hears this video, please smash like. We could talk about much more than just boxing, you know. Lionheart. Great story. I would thank you. Ongi ese Canelo didn't have the power. Thank you, Ghost Rider. What's up, baby? you do know that under Saul Canelo Alvarez's reign, every time he fights on the pay-per-view, it's free in Mexico. So that's why my man Ghost Rider rides down to Mexico to get free pay-per-view, baby. Yo, he gets free pay-per-view, because Canelo won't allow them to charge pay-per-view to see him fight in Mexico. He doesn't approve of it or whatever. I don't know. Shit, come to think about it, where he's from Guadalajara, Mexico, there wouldn't be a lot of people that could afford the pay-per-view or even have the ability to have it on, like, yeah, on like a streaming thing or whatever. That would be a pain in the ass for them. Nah, like in big Mexico, the big cities, hell yeah. Them all the Mexicans got money. They can buy the fucking fight 100 times, right? But where he's from, that little town that Canelo's from, yeah, there's not a lot of people in there that are like, I guess, financially well off. In other parts of Mexico, yeah, there's tons of fucking cartel money out there. They balling as motherfucker, right? They got enough money. The cartel can physically buy the fight for everybody in Mexico if they wanted to. Just one cartel dude. He literally buy all the fights, but Saul's that dope with his people that he didn't agree to it. He was like, "Nah, I want my people to see it free." Which is that's I guess that's a pretty cool thing to do for your. If you can do that for your people in your country, why not? Why not? Don't we all complain about pay-per-view bills and shit, fucking wanting to see the fight, and you got your hero, your guy giving back to you? Imagine if like Bam Bam Boogie was the Puerto Rican champion of the world. And he said, I declare today that no person in Puerto Rico watches pay per view. I'm fighting next week on pay per view. And everybody tunes in, and then Bam Bam will be like a hero, right? But since Bam Bam can't call these fights and won't win the Notre Dame's title ever again, that's not gonna happen. You guys like how I slid that in there? Yo, let's give the videos a like. Watch Bam Bam's quest. Try to become the Notre Dame's world champion here at Round One Sports Talk. But Armando is in his and Frontline is on the hunt. Lionheart ain't far behind because he's in the win talking about, I want my title back. And Carlos is warming up, just experiencing a title ring. And of course, you got me, Edwin, the real Dundada. You know what it is. You know how I do when I step up and I say I'm going to call these fights. You see what happens. Come with it. So the next time we watch these fights, make sure you tune in with us and the rest of the Round One family, as we call these fights here at Round One Sports Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Love each other and peace.